I remember flying from Johannesburg to Mozambique and just being glued to the window, and just, it was really different scenery, and just being so excited to find out, because I had no expectations, I had no idea what to expect. And we landed in Maputo out on the runway and got out straight outside, and the air smelled different, and I think we were excited and terrified, and I just had no idea what to expect.
Landing in Mozambique was really interesting. It reminded me of being in Brazil, actually, where I'd been before, and just seeing a lot of the similar architecture and a lot of poverty and people on the street.
Fisioterapista.
Eu me chamo Oriana.
Oriana também de medicina.
Eu me chamo Dr. Ronaldo. Eu sou pediatra.
Eu sou Angela.
Angela é estudante de... Nobody like that.
I think I was still a bit in a daze when we were flying over to Mozambique. Everything was so busy leading up to going there that I hadn't spent a lot of time mentally preparing for what it would be like once we were there.
I have a great picture of our first tour of the village, and one of us looks shocked, and another looks thrilled, and another looks scared, and all four of us had really different expressions on our faces, and it just totally captured what that first walk through the village was like. It started to pour, and we ran into a teenage mom invited us into her home, and so we hung out in there for a little bit, and it was a little bit shocking, but really interesting.
Today we had a very early start, guys. We got up at 5:30, some of us quarter after 5, and
So
was there
early.
ready for 6 o'clock for breakfast, which didn't happen until 6:30.
After a very cold shower.
After my shower was warm last night.
Oh,
It started raining, and so a few of us ran into one of the houses and asked if we could. We asked, can we come in, and just ran into one of her little
it might
huts,
not
and so
be
you walk
that
in
much
and
different,
can't stand
but
up, and it's more space. We have
a
more
little bit more
space.
space.
Very small,
Although,
and then
in
one
Canada, maybe there's more people in one small apartment than.
got a sheet hanging down and dividing the two rooms, and that's it.
Clinics in hospital are a little
I don't
bit
know.
chaotic
Well, I think it
compared
was
to what you would
the
find here.
the
People
girl,
just come in the
the
morning and
16 or
line up,
17-year-old girl
and
who
there's
had 2
huge
twins and then a
lineups,
daughter.
and there's people just hanging out for hours. Sometimes things go really fast, but there's only so much that they can do, so the lineups actually do move fairly quickly, and yeah, it's just a little bit more chaotic. You know, they ran out of paper, they ran out of charts and things like that, and you just would never think of that happening here.
I think the thing that I noticed most was how noticeable illness was there. Here, people are sick, but you don't necessarily see it. It's a lot of internal diseases, people walking around with heart disease or diabetes, and you can't see that. But in Mozambique and Masinga, where we were, you saw people with horrific diseases, crippling diseases, people who had been affected by polio, or people who couldn't walk or had deformities, and you don't see that here. People get fixed here, and it doesn't happen there.
Malaria. So every kid that came through pediatrics almost got malaria treatment, and one of the nurses actually called us on, because every time that we diagnosed malaria, we'd kind of say, "Oh, malaria again." And she said, "Why are you doing that?" And we said, "Well, there's no disease in Canada that's prevalent, that, you know, every kid has that same diagnosis, so it's just kind of different."
There are a few patients who stick in my head that I think about, and I still think about. There was one young man, I think he was about 21 or 22, and he was really, really sick. We didn't know what was wrong with him, and we still don't know what was wrong with him. Still, I sit in my classes and think maybe this could have been what he had, or this is what he had, and who knows? He had a list of symptoms that we couldn't put together, and we didn't have any tests to figure out what it was. It was a really sad case, and it was just, it illustrated how easy it is for us here to find out what's wrong with people a lot of the time and then treat it. But there you just kind of take a guess and do what you can.
There was a couple kids that were really, really sick, and by the end, just the day before we left, there was a little girl who had meningitis, and it didn't look like she was responding at all. And by the last day before we left, she was up in bed and smiling and laughing, and that I'll remember for a long time.